Hi, it's Andy with Line2Line Coatings. We got a cool set of pistons back this week, so we thought it would be a good opportunity to do a case study on some pistons that we coated and then they ran. So this is Chris Holbrook's ran a 632 and it made about 17 to 1800 horsepower on nitrous. And funny, this is about 6,000 jobs ago from 2016. So anyway, there's some cool results. These pistons, we pulled the old job ticket here, and these pistons were spec'd out to have 7 thousandths of piston to wall clearance for, the manufacturer's recommendation. Back then we went pretty thick. We put 6.5 thousandths on these, and Chris knew to build it and carefully break it in, but from our records it went together with about a 1/2 thou clearance. That's tighter than we do now, causes more work during the break-in period. So we usually we would probably we'd put 5 thousandths on there instead of 6.5. But anyway, this engine ran about 50 passes, and then they started to see a little drop in pan vacuum, so they decided to pull it, and now it's getting freshened up. And so we've got our dimensions from back then and the new ones. So the first thing we saw when we got these parts back, I don't know if they'll show up well, but there are some sparkles, little specks, shiny specks, and some scratches. So we looked in the microscope. Those are metal specks that are embedded into the coating. So something must have had a little wear and let some particles go through. That's a nice thing about the coating. It'll allow those particles to embed and get them out of tumbling and tearing stuff up if they're safely trapped in the coating. The other thing to notice is that if you can see the glare across the skirt, you can see the whole skirt was engaged really well with the bore, so that load is spread out evenly. The oil film seemed really good because other than the scratches and specks, the whole piston skirt looks beautiful. So we went ahead and measured them up, and like I said, it was put together with, looks like a 1/2 thou clearance. And after running 50 passes at that power level, the range was 3.5 to almost 6 thousandths of clearance based on our measurements. Most of them were right in the mid-4s. So on average, it took up, the coating removed about 40 to 50% of the cold clearance, and that's what we usually see. They have to add more clearance on the spec, otherwise you'll stick them too often. So you just loosen them up a little, then you don't have to worry. And that's what the coating does for you. It takes up that unwanted space safely and allows your rings to ride true, square to the bore, rather than riding a rodeo on a loose piston, and which causes wear, and your lands can touch and wear the bore, your rings wear more. So that's what we're all about, taking up that clearance safely. So yes, when we measured them, we found those clearances. Well, some of the clearance was due to the coating wearing, and some of it was due to the pistons collapsing. There's a lot of power, and they're hot and they're getting pounded on, so naturally they collapse a little. So we blasted them all off like this one, and you can see, even though some metal went through, the base metal is perfect on the skirts. These things are good to freshen up. Yeah, it really just illustrate, with the scatter in the dimensions, there's a couple that are away from the center of clearance, but each of these pistons was allowed to become the shape it wanted to be for that bore. You know, that the range in numbers shows that each cylinder might have been a little different when it was running, maybe got a little extra nitrous or some more heat, but they all get to do their thing, and they all wind up tighter than the original spec. Yeah, so really now we're gonna blast this one, and they touch honed the bores about 3/1000ths bigger than they were. So we're gonna put on about, we're gonna leave about 1.5 to 2 of clearance, and these pistons will be ready to go back into service and rage again for hopefully another 50 passes or so. So thanks to Chris Holbrook. He was one of the first guys to use our stuff in high power engines, and it's always nice to get parts back and see what happened in the field. So hopefully that helps you out with how to use our coatings and save some money and time in freshen ups.